Composure, sometimes called poise. Please understand this. To really get your arms around poise and composure as a skill, it is critical to understand what the heck is going on in your brain and your body under pressure. When you're in a situation, again, for that key 1 or 2 possessions that's going to determine the outcome of the game, what the heck is going on in your brain and your body? I may be guilty of an oversimplification here, but on a very basic level, whenever we have what's called perceived threat in the brain, which means that your brain sends a signal to your body, your brain's thinking that, you know what, perhaps I've got there's a chance I'm going to be embarrassed right now, or there's a chance I may not come through, and instead of the hero, I may be the GOAT. Whatever the situation is, and it happens in life. When you have to have a difficult conversation, when you have to have an argument, perhaps before a big test, whatever it is, there are times where we have perceived threat in our brain. And here's the interesting thing for you and I. Nowhere does this happen more than in the athletic arena, with a lot of people watching very often. So when we have this perceived threat and our brain sends a signal to our body, what actually happens to our body? What does it go through? It goes through 4 things. First thing that happens is our heart rate changes. Second thing, our breathing patterns change. We go from nice, comfortable, relaxed breathing, roughly a breathing count of 16 to 18 breath cycles per minute. Well, what the heck does that mean, Spence? It means as we're breathing, that was 1 breath cycle. When we're nice and relaxed, for the most part we breathe. Most people breathe when they're nice and relaxed, roughly at a clip of 16 to 18 breath cycles per minute. Now, transport that individual, nice and relaxed, 16 to 18 breath cycles per minute, and put them in the locker room right before the biggest game of the year, maybe even the state finals for high school, or an NCAA game, or the Final Four for college. And all of a sudden those breath cycles can double without any physical exertion. Now, for someone listening to that, they may be thinking, well, so what? How does that actually affect me as an athlete? Well, not a whole lot yet. But as I continue to talk about what things are happening for the body, you'll see now how these things that happen to the body really affect our actual skills. Third thing that happens. Number 3, our digestive system shuts down. We get that uncomfortable knotting sensation in the pit of our stomach that seems to work its way up to our throat until we feel like we're gagging on our nerves. It is an uncomfortable thought and feeling. And the 4th thing that happens, all heck breaks loose. Muscular tension levels begin to rise. Now, in the early stages, here's the good news for you and I. In the early stages, this reaction they typically call, and so many of you have heard this term, I know, the fight or flight reaction, where our body is prepared to either fight or flee. Fight or flight reaction, they call that. In the early stages, this is actually really, really good for us. That's the good news. Why is it good for us? Because it lowers our reaction time, it makes us more intense, it makes us more aggressive. When you start to get those nervous feelings right before a game, accept them to say, you know what, this is great for me. It's exactly what I need. But here's the big caveat. Here's the big thing to be aware of. There is a line in the sand for every single one of you, from players to coaching staff, a line in the sand. And once you cross that line in the sand in regards to, and I'm going to use the correct term, and then I'm going to use a term that I like a lot more. When you get past a certain level of emotional arousal, or I like to call it hype, on a scale of 1 to 10, if let's just say you play your best at a hype level of 5, kind of emotionally even keeled, not extremely low as a 1 and not wacky as a 10, you play your best as a 5. As soon as you step over that line in the sand for you, your decision making is going to begin to be compromised. Your skill execution is actually going to begin to be compromised. If you get 2 levels above your ideal level, you are no longer any good to yourself and no longer good to your team. It doesn't translate as well. A relaxed player, it has an opportunity to be at his or her best. Now, once you understand that about hype number, how do we go about actually changing things for you and I, such that we can locate that hype number for ourselves and then try and stay there no matter what occurs in the game? I'm talking about even if you have a really bad call or no call from a referee. I'm talking about if you blow an easy play, or maybe the coach gets on you and begins yelling. How do you actually ensure that you stay at your ideal level of hype through a game? And understand the importance of this again, those type of athletes are very, very, very difficult to play against. And those teams that actually have that are the most dangerous teams, high school, college, and pros. Because it's very, very difficult to ever rattle them. Doesn't matter what occurs on the court, there are no major swings in momentum with these teams. They stay even-keeled no matter what.